Well, hello, good morning, David. How are you, sir?
Good. I'm gonna spare you the stories, but so far it's been quite a long morning.
Thank you for sparing us and the audience, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Today we're not here to talk about my Monday morning. We're here to talk
Okay.
with one of our new guests. Steve, who do we have today?
Okay, well, you know what? It is Monday morning, and so on Mondays we bring very, very special people onto the show. So today I am very pleased because we have Mr. Tom Engblom here, and he is a regional account executive at CIT Bank. But more importantly, he's got a million years experience, tons of experience in the multifamily world, a common interest community. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff today. Tom, thanks for being on the show. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what it is that you do?
Well, thank you for having me. So, I started in the industry when I was 5 years old. I have
Oh,
40 years of experience. I was a former account supervisor in Chicago and the suburbs, and I managed 3,500 associations, condominium, high rises. Very interesting to work in downtown Chicago. But then for the past 19 years, I worked for CIT, and at that particular position, I'm a regional account exec and I cover 7 states for the bank and deal with associations and management companies in that market.
Well, that's a lot of doors and a lot of experience, and you do have the letters at the end of your name to prove it. You're a CPM, you're a PCAM, and you're even a PhD. So today we're going to talk about one of your things that you like the most, working from home. Actually, it's coincidentally the title of your new book. So, how does a banking professional becomes a book writer?
Well, I actually became a book writer before I became a banker, and I've always had the passion for education. And I started in real estate in 1988 with an associate degree. And then at the same time, I ended up going into association management, and I continued to pursue my education to eventually pursue my doctorate degree. And I was in a quandary as to what type of research to do and what more opportunity would be to look at the association management industry. So what I did is, it sounds like a very boring title, but it's actually very, very interesting. It was a quantitative analysis of job satisfaction and education for community association managers. And I looked at what was paramount for them and how they could be more successful and be happy at what they do. Because we all know in the industry how grueling, how thankless this is, and how, frankly, you get beat up and abused being an association manager. So I
You're
did
right.
that research. And over time, it kind of dawned on me prior to COVID, why are association managers going into the office? Why were they putting in the long hours? So why not work from home? And I took my dissertation and I evolved it into the book. And I
okay.
added many, many stories to it.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. And it's become more poignant just in recent years. Working from home isn't a new concept, but it has changed a whole bunch. Can you dive a little into that for our viewers?
Right. Well, I mean, it's changed so much. Originally, if you go back and you look, this is not a new concept. It's been around since the early times. And actually, the father of working from home, his name was Jack Niles, and he started in 1973 talking about telecommunication, transportation, working from home. And with the issue of COVID coming in, it just was magnified that people needed to work from home reasons and other considerations.
No kidding. No kidding. So you said a couple of words in there that maybe we could clarify. Is there a difference between teleworking and telecommuting?
Yes, teleworking is basically you're 100% working from home and you're
Okay.
set up that way. Now, again, you could work remotely. So, for example, you could cover an area of, say, Chicago, but live in Colorado or Florida. So that's 100% remote working. Telecommuting is more or less where you're just going into the office a few days a week.
Okay.
And that creates additional issues and problems for those types of individuals that telecommute.
So, what are the key points to be successful at teleworking or telecommuting? Either one.
I think it's all about the personality, and you have to have proper training to do it. But it's to set up your work environment that you have from home with a desk. You don't want to sit on a couch. You want to have sunlight, so you get vitamins that you're going to get through the sunset, high speed internet. The list goes on and on. Be able to shut the door, have certain work hours that you work. I mean, we could talk hours for that. And think about the benefits that you're going to receive working from home versus going into the office. Not just the benefits, but the monetary value as well.
Sure, sure. Now, how has productivity been affected? How are the productivity metrics been affected by the new kind of work format?
Well, I think it really depends on your company and what their service level agreement is. But I can tell you personally that productivity, once you understand the concept and you feel comfortable with it, that you're going to be more efficient working from home than if you are in the office, because you're not going to have the office politics. You're not going to have the distractions. I mean, the list again can go on and on. I mean, that could be a whole subject in itself.
Why is it beneficial for property management company to really seriously consider the long-term implementation of telecommuting?
Well, as a former community association manager, typically my day would start that I would be in the office at 9 in the morning, and then I would be there until 5, 6, and then attend the board meeting. And what would transpire is that those were very long days. Then I'd have to go to the meeting and be there from 7 to 9 p.m. at night. That's typically where the board of directors shines. But the true benefit is that at that particular time, I would be burned out. I would be tired. I wouldn't be on the top of my game. And that could be my second, third, fourth meeting of the week. And with now working from home, I can be refreshed. I can have my schedule. I can prioritize what's important.
Okay, so there's an obvious benefit from the employer's side, from the management side. Now, you spoke earlier about analyzing job satisfaction from a manager standpoint, and I love that concept. So, are you finding in your research that the job satisfaction levels are coming up?
I believe 100% they're coming up. And the reason why they're coming up is because an individual now has time on their own. They have more work-life balance. They can have a lunch with their children. They could be able to do certain types of personal work that they need to get done during the day. And then subsequently, based on that time frame, they could go back and log back into their computer and get their work done and meet the goals that they were assigned to.
And then they can even binge watch Big Bang Theory.
Right,
That's one
exactly.
thing I learned about you in the book.
Big Bang Theory is probably my mantra because I can relate to it 100% with having a doctorate degree and being looked at differently and trying to build that perfect widget. I've always tried to make it better for everyone.
So, TOM stands for Total Outstanding Mindset. Tell us more about it.
So, I realized very early in life that your mindset is critical and how you have to be efficient and how you want to be successful in life. And I remember the very first time that I went to a association meeting that the owner of the company went with me to chaperone me, and he said, "Do you take anything personally?" And I said, "Absolutely not." "Do you need a pat on the back?" "No." And he said, "You'll go far in the industry." And that was nearly 40 years ago. So when I started to look at, and I'm a firm believer of the 4 agreements that are out there, that you don't take anything personally, you try to do your best, and the list goes on. But you have to be able to decompress. And I've always said there has to be a better way to do this. I just think that in the association management industry, we're very archaic. And individuals have to improve on what they do to be more efficient and not lose the time and effort. And by doing that, I've created a whole list of Tom about how you can decompress, be more efficient, have a positive attitude. That's what it's all about.
So, on the show, we like to give our guests an opportunity to thank or recognize or just give a shout out to somebody who has influenced their life or their career. Could be a charity, could be somebody you've worked with, could be a mentor. Tom, the microphone is yours. Go for it.
first of all, I'd like to thank everyone in the industry for what they do. Association managers, they have a thankless job, board members for volunteering, and everyone that is part of the industry. But I think the most important person, besides my wife, of course, would be my friend Chuck McCrennan. And he motivated me. And if you actually read the book, I talk about what was my motivation to get my doctorate. It wasn't to achieve it, but because we've been good friends for nearly 40 years, it was to have him call me Dr. Engblom every time that he would. And that's what motivated me to get my doctorate degree.
Oh, wow.
All right, doctor. It was a pleasure to have you on the show today. I learned things. I feel better already, and I'm ready to tackle this week. And we hope to see you next week on the next episode of Community Association Call Chat. See you guys around.